Stranger in Moscow is like a train that's going at a steady speed and then starts to speed up just a little bit, and then the singer who's on the top of the train launches off and soars. I love this MJ vocal performance. It is one of my favorites.
Feel.
Yes. Let's listen to those again. Underlying restraint and almost brooding nature of the beginning, and then when he takes off at the end with his grit and complexity yet simplicity of sound and aggression and emotion, it just hits home in a very special way. And I get to use these files under fair use. This is an educational singing channel, and I use these files and other artists that I'm inspired by to help me learn how to sing better, and hopefully to help you sing better. If you'd like to go deeper with me with this approach, click the link below and join my free voice course. In this particular set of files, we have various breakouts and a few multitracks, but a lot of stems or sums. And I want to start by, as usual, giving various glimpses of the instrumentals before we get into appreciating the vocals. Here's some guitars. This is fun. Love it. I love that palm muty sort of thing going on. Yeah. So moody. Here's some percussion. And I always love hearing stuff like piano and strings isolated out. Listen to these. This is great. I like how these build here at the end. It's fun hearing them by themselves. That chord progression is just so mint. It's probably just because I'm programmed to hear Michael Jackson's voice in there even when it's not, but there's just this sense of like anticipation in the way those chords move that makes you want to have that tortured soulfulness by the end. And this is interesting. I'm not quite sure why certain ones are more isolated out or more broken out than others, but I like being able to get a little bit better handle on Michael's vocal percussion in the midst of the track because we don't have the whole thing there. Yeah. Like, listen to that again. There's all sorts of things going on there with his voice sampled with other non-vocal things, but when you're listening to the full mix, you're not quite sure what's what, and here you get a little bit better picture. Right, there's clearly a vocal quality to that, but it's blended with another sample, and then we have those little chirps in there. Dip, dip. Ch, ch. Love it. And then, again. This kind of thing is riddled all over certain Michael Jackson songs, but the subtlety here and the blend of the vocal sounds with the percussion that's not vocal is it's cool. I never really know what I'm going to get when I open one of these MJ project files up. Some of them are very elaborate and very accurate to what we are used to hearing. Some of them have stuff that isn't in the original mix. Some of them have completely different music. Some of them are completely out of time and have to be fixed, and it's just all sorts of weird things that happen. Most of these Michael Jackson multitracks come from his involvement with Cirque du Soleil. They made quite a number of multi-track or stem breakouts for that. But some of these are probably fan-compiled through various isolated stem leaks or whatever here and there. But whatever form I'm able to dive into, I find them absolutely fascinating. And sometimes, when there are discrepancies between what I'm used to hearing and what I am hearing in one of these files, I don't know, it just makes it more fun. There's this, it adds to the lore and like mystique of everything Michael Jackson. We've got this other bass in here, and it's I don't think it's the same bass. No, it's not the same bass that's in this track. That's a cool vocal fill. Sax. Some keys. Right, that with the guitar. Really interesting arranging choices. You wouldn't necessarily think of that as keys. You might just think of it as more guitars. And these tracks here, boy. Like, why whoever was compiling these are those, completely isolated out and then the other things aren't? Who knows? Still fun. Let's get into the vocals. And I want you to pay especially close attention to how Michael's voice grows throughout this song. There's so much going on that it's just, steady momentum, but his articulations and even subtly at the beginning and how he adds energy in certain places, and then of course at the end It's just really cool to hear it, especially without the music in there, because we're so used to hearing it with the music in there. We get an even greater appreciation for how much energy Michael's voice adds. The instrumental is amazing and inspiring to sing over, but hearing that raw energy coming from Michael is extra inspiring.
I was wandering in the rain, swift and sudden fall from grace. The crimson shadow belittling me. On and on and on it came.
I love that you can hear the bleed, and you can also hear him being his normal body percussion self. That's all left in, as far as we know, and it improves the energy of the track even more, the overall mix, even if you may not hear it directly.
How does it feel?
Stomping his foot. Now you can also hear these sections where they've cut out the audio. This could be comps, right? We're taking multiple takes of what Michael did and choosing the best of each take, and then they've just left out particular portions because they didn't want the extra bleed in those particular sections.
When you're alone and you're cold inside.
Always love that line.
Here abandoning my fame. KGB were stalking me. And then a bigger boy called my name. On and on and on it came, and the rain, and again and again and...
Listen to this line again here.
When you're alone and you're cold inside.
Hear how he just feathers up there into head voice but leans into alone? When you're alone and you're cold inside. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be what he did. Just inspired by what he did. That sigh at the beginning. When... And then that exit into that beautiful, like, released head voice tone.
On and on and on it came, and the rain, and again and again and... How does it feel? How does it feel when you're alone and you're cold inside?
That one was very different. Wasn't pitch perfect at all. I love that there's no pitch correction on any of this stuff, and we get the vulnerability, and we also get a sense of the steadiness of his voice. In this section, it's steady, and it's not that steady later. It gets less and less steady. Let's pay attention to some of these background vocals.
I'm a getting of the brain. Take my name, but you just let me be. Happy days will drown the pain.
I think it's funny that when you cue this song up on Apple Music and you look at the lyrics, the he's are in the lyrics. Only with Michael Jackson is it that prominent enough to be included in the actual lyrics? It's cool.
Take my name, but you just let me. How does it feel?
Yeah.
How does it feel? How does it feel?
I like the blend of unison and lush harmonies. There's a lot of like restraint and strategy here in how they've layered these background vocals.
Happy days will drown the pain.
Really complex there, right?
On and on it came, and the rain, and again and again and how does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel?
because we have this element of call and response throughout these two sections, but we have that real complex, layered harmony. I mean, just beautiful interval relationships there. And then the simplicity of the unison. It's great.
How does it feel? 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 How does it feel now? How does it feel? How
Yes, yes, yes. Let's listen to those again.
How does it feel?
Right, that syncopation in the midst of this plodding beat. That's what I'm talking about. There's this unsettledness, yet pent-up energy right here. It's just, so cool. Now,
How does it feel?
even that exhale, listen to the way it's so rhythmically interesting.
How does it feel?
And his foot stomp bookends what he's doing with his breath. So integrated.
How does it feel?
So understatedly awesome.
How does it feel? How does it feel now?
And there's another example of Michael Jackson's dynamics in the midst of some agility, right? He's leaning into the mic, he's leaning away from the mic, sure, but he's also getting louder and quieter dynamically with his voice in the midst of that run. That's really hard to do.
How does it feel? How does it feel now?
Yeah. I think sometimes we attribute great vocals to acrobatic type things, right? Like, oh, they're hitting that really high note, or wow, they spat those words out really fast, or listen to that scream, or whatever it is. One thing I love about Michael Jackson's voice, especially in songs like this, is that there's so much going on that you would just completely miss as like mastered vocal technique. But thanks to these isolated tracks, we get to appreciate them more. Okay, get ready. Get ready.
When you're alone and you're cold inside.
That was all in chest voice, right? He's building. His voice is growing, and it's just...
When you're alone and you're cold inside. Like stranger in Moscow.
Yeah.
Lord, I must say.
Yeah. Soul.
Like stranger in Moscow. Lord, I must say. We're talking danger.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking danger, baby. Like stranger in Moscow.
Oh, gotta hear that transition again. There's a voice crack in there. Who cares? Don't be so concerned about your voice cracking. Emote. Lean into the moment. And if your voice cracks a little bit, doesn't matter. If you are engaged emotionally, it's not going to be the focus of what ends up on tape or disc or YouTube.
When you're alone and you're cold inside. Like stranger in Moscow. Lord, I must say.
Backs away from the mic there.
Like stranger in Moscow. Lord, I must say. We're talking danger.
Right? The talk.
We're talking danger.
It's a little chirp in there. Some people might go, if they were doing that, like, oop, they'd shy away from it. But he leans in to that vulnerability in his voice, and that's one of the reasons he's able to put on that heat and take it away so seamlessly, because he leans in without judgment as to what might happen with his voice.
We're talking danger.
Oh, and it's just
We're talking danger, baby.
so beautiful.
like a stranger in Moscow. We're talking danger. We're talking danger, baby. Like a stranger in Moscow.
Listen to this grit right here.
We're talking danger.
It is so heated, so heated.
We're talking danger.
And how he sighs out of it at the end.
Danger.
Oh, you can tell he's not locking himself into a particular tone, right? He's not trying to be a certain way. He's letting his voice be a certain way. Even if that means towards the end, his voice is a little tired. It's okay.
We're talking danger. We're talking danger, baby. Like a stranger in Moscow.
Yeah, he cools his voice off right there. So cool.
I'm living lonely. I'm living lonely, baby. Stranger in Moscow. I'm living lonely.
Hear his exit there? That's another thing about Michael's voice that'll never get old. His exits are so distinct and unique. He doesn't just stop a note. He travels out of a note or phrase, and he's doing that here.
I'm living lonely. I'm living.
It's with the breath, it's with the sigh, it's with the way he changes the vowel. Lots of singers only think about how they're getting into notes or what's happening while they're singing the particular note. If they're flat or sharp or if they have enough emotion. Michael is just lost in an experience and letting inspiration carry his voice. But he's also practiced a ton and he's also very meticulous. It's just that he did a fantastic job throughout his career of being meticulous and scientific and all sorts of, really, really detailed and practicing and disciplined. And then he let himself sort of forget about that, consciously anyway, and then completely live in the experience of the moment. When he was recording, when he was performing, when he was dancing. This is what makes him so great. And we hear a lot of those subtle things here in these isolated tracks. Let's close this out.
We're talking danger. We're talking danger, baby. Like a stranger in Moscow. I'm living lonely. I'm living lonely, baby. Stranger in Moscow.
And that's all we got in these files. What fun. Thank you for sharing this with me. Be sure to check out my full playlist. I've got dozens of these types of videos on Michael Jackson. And again, if you'd like more help exploring your voice, click the link below and join my free course. We'll see you for more.